I'm Rick from Carthage Classic Cars. On this video, we're back on this 1970 Nova. It's been a little bit of time since we've done a video on this car, and it's not like we have not been working on it. So, since the last video, we've done complete gapping of this car. We've cut and welded everything, dialed in all the panels exactly like the owner wanted. We did strip the doors, the hood, the fenders, everything, the trunk that bolts on off this car. We did strip them down with stripping drums, a sandblast cabinet, and just got everything in epoxy primer waiting to be bolted on. We also still have to strip, obviously, the eco off the external body of the car, clean up the door jambs, fix all that area, and get that stuff ready to prep. Also, the owner has asked us to mock up a bunch of more parts. For instance, we put aftermarket seat brackets in this car. We have the engine, the 454. We have both heads on it right now. We're doing a full stainless exhaust. We're going to mock up the whole drive line with the dry shaft. Everything else, we did have to get the drive line with the transmission, the TKX 5-speed, at a higher angle. We had to add a little bit higher of transmission tunnel in the car for just ever so slight clearance, and we did weld up the 5-speed. All of that will also be cleaned up down the road. There is the steering column's been mocked up, pretty much everything, like I said, to make sure, since all this is aftermarket, you almost have to build these cars 2 times. Now, we're going to do a quick video before the final gapping video, which we will put out in a walk around video on this car, but this is going to be a short video. The owner, last minute, I guess, decided that he wanted to change the plans. It happens sometimes. Normally, we try to come up with a steady plan from start to finish on the build because it's going to save cost and, our time and everything else, and it's just more efficient that way. Sometimes things happen, and I'll tell you what happened in this situation. We have right now the 1970 stock dashboard that we left in this Nova. Initially, it had a little bit of damage that we hammered out and made a little bit better, and it looked good. The owner was happy with the 70 Dash. Now, the owner wants to put AC in this car, and he thought maybe we can get a little AC vent there, or we build something, and that would have been fine too. That's a route to go. But something else he was doing some research on, and he really felt like he wants something completely original, is he likes the 1969 Camaro dash gauge clusters and everything else versus the Novas. Some of the Novas, you've seen them, are a little bit more square with the needle comes over. The 69 Camaro to him looks like more of a sporty car. Again, this car is nothing factory. Obviously, everything in this car is aftermarket, and it's his car, so he can do what he wants. We have in the past sectioned in a 69 Camaro top dash patch right here, keeping the Nova dash right here, which would have been factory. So on this video, what we're going to end up doing, we have a 1969 Camaro brand new dashboard. So it's got the AC vent like the owner wants. He's going to just incorporate, I guess, a 69 Camaro AC system in it. He's going to use all 69 Camaro ashtray gauges, everything else. From what I gather, the steering column and everything else should fit fine. That's why it's mocked up in the car right now. We're going to go ahead and now pull the dash off that car, cover up the engine. Again, this is the part that we would have normally did the dash disassembly on when the car, the second video on this car when we're ripping everything else out. Then we wouldn't have had the sandblast back here. It would have been a whole lot easier. But again, things change. We're going to get that Nova Dash out. We're going to see how the 69 Camaro Dash fits in this car, what it looks like when it's all done. We're going to mock up the steering and everything else, and we'll take you along for that process. We are going to same thing we've done with the rest of the car. Epoxy, sandblast this, and epoxy prime everything else, weld it in, and we'll do a final wrap up on this video. So stay tuned. If all goes well, this dashboard is going to be sitting in that 1970 Nova. The first step on removing the dashboard out of the Nova is going to be, one, we're going to take a wire brush. What that's going to allow us to do is locate all the spot welds.
If we remove all the epoxy on it, you can actually see as the wire brush is going over it where the spot welds will be very defined. You'll be able to see them a lot cleaner in the bare metal. So this isn't just for removing a dashboard. Obviously this works anywhere that there would be spot welds. Now in this situation, since we do not want to hurt the upper cowl panel, we are going to just use the belt sander. So what we're doing with the belt sander, we're coming back through and we're just sanding down the top layer of the dashboard itself and removing most of that spot weld. We are trying to make sure we do not go too deep or get into the upper cowl panel, because that would just make it more repairs in the future that we'd have to address. So what you can see right now, I'll turn the belt sander one direction and then I'll kind of flip it right around. I'm also feeling for the next spot weld just to see exactly where it's located. This also helps on saving any other panel around the car. Again, this whole process translates to the whole entire car. The dashboard removal is the same on removing any panels, and there's different levels. You see us sometimes we'll just take the air chisel, rip the whole panel right out. Sometimes we're trying to save panels, so at that point there's different processes depending on if you're saving both panels, if you're just saving one panel, or if you're just destroying everything and you just want it removed out of the car efficiently. And that's what we decide. We figure out what's the best time and to complete the process done efficiently for the owners of these cars and these builds right now. So now we got all the spot welds removed. You could see we did perimeter cut the dashboard itself. We're just taking the cutoff wheel and then we're going to come back inside. As you can see right now, the main thing is to get the structure out of this dashboard. What I decided not to do on removing this dash is we do want to keep those side brackets in the dash for now, and then we're going to come back through. I did use the same thing. We did belt sand some of them out, and then we'll come back through and just spot weld them. On the other side, I believe I did drill out with the spot weld cutter and remove them that way. Now we're going to turn our attention, as you can see, back on the dashboard that we were using the spot weld cutter. And what that's going to allow us to do, we just take the air chisel now that everything's removed, and then, rip it right out. So turning our attention on the dash install, we did fast forward a little bit just for the video time sake, because you have seen this process so many times. But we have our new dashboard in there. It's been completely sandblasted down. We have put weld through primer on the areas that we are going to weld, and then we coated the rest of the dash underneath in epoxy primer. This is going to allow us to just get full coverage, better coverage than we would ever get if it was installed on the car after. So what we're going to do, you could see I have our 3M body panel adhesive. We did put some on the bare metal of the dash, so I like to glue these. I made it very clear in the past they are glued, or some foam under there from the factory to prevent rattling. So this is one area I will put the body adhesive on just to make sure there's no rattling, it's tight, the dash doesn't move, and everything else like that. So when I do clear out the bare metal, I'll come back through, like I said, with the body adhesive. I cover all the bare metal on both sides. Chase is going to help me right now. This is where we have to be very careful, because you could easily make a mess, and this dashboard is tight, whether you're installing it in a 69 Camaro, which we have done, or like I said, the Nova dashes, these GM dashes, they get tight sliding in between the windshield. So the idea is kind of keep it low, but you're going up at a slight angle. We do want to miss the glue itself, and then once we get it up and over the glue, we will set it down on the proper location. Once I'm happy with the placement of the dash, you can see I'll go ahead and take some clamps. We'll take the vice grips and just kind of run through the upper cowl vents, and we'll clamp it in a few places. The corners, what I am going to do, I'm going to run some sheet metal screws through both sides just to hold them down, and then we're going to go on the inside and we'll start positioning the dashboard. Now, before I started this welding process that I'm showing you right now, I did test fit the steering column. I did make sure the windshield fit. There were a bunch of stuff that we did verify with the owner beforehand, before we went through and completely did weld this through. Once we did verify everything fits properly, and put the windshield in there, we could start with the MIG welding. We started at the center, worked our way outsides. I did also sandblast the inside brackets along with the dash pad. I did coat those with weld through primer, and then we did locate them after the steering column and everything else went in the car. So now that everything fits really well, we'll go ahead and grind it through, clean everything up, and we're going to come back later when we clean up the whole rest of the car, and then we'll go ahead and epoxy prime this whole dash install, and that will wrap everything up for the whole process. So in general, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up this video for some final thoughts on this whole build.
All right, we're gonna wrap up this video on the 69 Camaro Dash assembly install on our 1970 Nova. So if you do have a 68 to 72 Nova, I can verify that the dash assembly for 1969 Camaro does fit with very little modification. Walking around this car, you can really see that the metal work does blend really well. The owner was up here and we were talking about it, that we had the windshield test fit in the car just to make sure there was no issues. Everything fit exactly like it was. And we were talking and saying that unless you had another Nova next to it and you really started looking at the cars, I mean, this in the bare metal phase, it just blends so seamlessly. We do have the factory original, the aftermarket Flamin' River, I believe it was, steering column in this car for a Nova. They are the same as a 69 Camaro. So again, everything bolts in that should bolt in. The brake pedal, the clutch pedals, all that is in the factory location. Nothing is out of order. Everything looks like it went back in this car with very little modification. The only thing I did have to slightly move are the bottom support brackets, the L brackets on both sides. I just removed them, and as the dashboard was coming in, they sit a little bit higher than the factory original Nova. So again, not a huge issue. The steering column brackets coming down, that's where I left that in the Nova to really keep the column in the same location. I think that's key, and that's also going to set your dashboard, everything along the bottom. So if you're changing out the dash. So if you're looking for something custom on your Nova, this is an option. It is, I would consider this a DIY install on the customizing world. You don't have to be really good at metal work, and it still blends really well. It's just taking out a part, putting it back in. If you are doing a 68 to 72 factory Nova Dash that you're reinstalling one of those, the process is identical. You're just going to put the Nova part assembly versus the 69 Camaro part dash assembly. Now, saying that, another good benefit of this is currently the Nova Dashes are $500 and something, where the 69 Camaro Dash is, I think, $300 and something. So it is a cheaper dash assembly. And like the owner wanted more than anything else, he believes the 69 Camaro, and I agree with him, is a sportier gauge cluster dash assembly. The owner did want the AC vent, so he was able to, that's what initially sparked this whole build. Is he's putting AC in the car and he needed the AC vent. So this car with the dash damage up here and not having the AC vent, he just decided, you know, let's go take it out. Let's go with the AC vents. And by the time he started thinking about it, well, let's upgrade and do something different with the Pro Touring style. So he's going to have more gauge cluster options and everything else. So stay tuned for more on this car. I know it's been here a while. We've added a lot to the build table, like the dash assembly and everything else. We are gonna wrap up this car hopefully on one more video. We're in the process of doing the final filming when the dashboard job came in the middle of everything. So we are gonna final strip this car. We're mocking up a stainless steel exhaust front to rear on the car right now that we're just kind of wrapping up, waiting on 2 more pipe bends for that we were short on, you know, because with the 3-inch full stainless exhaust and the Quattro Link, it's a very there's a lot of challenges coming with the clearance issues in the back with the 4-link, but it can be done. We have done it. So stay tuned. We are going to wrap up the video. We'll do a walk around on everything we've done on this car off camera, everything else minus the dashboard, which will be covered in this video. Check out our Facebook page, Carthage Classic Cars. I've been posting the stuff that we have been doing on the car that hasn't been covered on the videos yet, and that might not be covered in the final wrap up. Also, we got a lot of other projects coming up in the shop. We have some already builds finishing up. Things have been rolling along. So follow us on Facebook for all the stuff with that. And please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, it really does help us out getting the message out, what we're doing. And really it does help us get the coolest cars that come in this shop, that, you know, the word gets spread out and gets shared. I'm very thankful for that. So stay tuned for either another video on this car or the next one. I'm Rick from Carthage Classic Cars, and we'll see you next time.